It was cold. The rain was hitting the window hard. Every drop made me feel even more lonely. There was a storm outside and a storm inside me too. I was alone in an old wooden house. This house, with its walls bearing the tiredness of years, held the marks of the past. Every corner, every crack told a story. The power was out. My only light was a flickering candle. As the candle flame danced in the dark room, shadows danced with it. This flickering light gave me both hope and fear. Shadows danced in every corner. The wind howled. The sound of the wind echoed through the old walls of the house, as if it was whispering something. These whispers made me feel even more alone. It was as if it was circling the house, looking for a way in. Every creak made me jump. The sounds coming from every corner of the house kept me on edge. These sounds were like echoes of my loneliness. My heart was pounding in my chest. Fear gripped my throat. The candle flickered, almost going out. It got even darker. My breath hitched. This darkness magnified the fears inside me. Loneliness had never been so scary. In this house, in this darkness, I felt the true meaning of loneliness to my core. I kept expecting something to change, something to happen, but the only thing that changed was the deepening of my loneliness. I heard a noise from outside, a faint tapping. At first I didn't pay attention. Maybe it was just the wind playing tricks. But the sound repeated, this time clearer and closer. My heart started to race. I was alone in the dark, and this sound was making me uneasy, like a branch hitting the window. But it wasn't the sound of a branch. It was more like someone scratching at the door. I felt a shiver down my spine. Was it the whispers of the wind or someone's cry for help? But the wind was getting stronger. The tapping intensified. It was as if someone was scratching the door. I slowly stood up. My knees were shaking with fear. I walked towards the door. With each step, my heart beat faster. As I walked down the dark hallway, the shadows seemed to be coming towards me. Fear enveloped my whole body. My heart pounded with every step. As I got closer to the door, the tapping became more distinct. It was as if someone was waiting on the other side. I reached for the doorknob. I was trembling. Should I open it, or should I ignore it? I took a deep breath. The tapping had now turned into a scratching sound. Terrified, I stood in front of the door. My hand shaking, I reached for the knob. Should I open it, or should I ignore it? I took a deep breath. I suddenly opened the door. There was no one there. Just darkness and the howling of the wind. I felt empty inside. Being so scared and then having no one there frightened me even more. Just the heavy rain and the howling wind. But even these sounds didn't comfort me. I felt something was wrong outside. Beyond the rain and wind, there was something else. My eyes searched for something in the darkness, but I couldn't see anything. But I felt that something was wrong. There was an uneasiness inside me, as if a shadow was watching me, a movement in the darkness, a whisper. Was it the whispers of the wind or someone's breath? Terrified, I went back to my room, but I couldn't sleep that night. The whispers of the wind didn't let me rest. I went back inside. I locked the door behind me. I needed to be safe, but that feeling didn't go away. It felt like someone was watching me. I turned around. My eyes were trying to adjust to the darkness. Darkness had swallowed every corner. My heart was pounding. My breathing had quickened. At that moment, I felt that I wasn't alone in the room. A shadow, a presence was watching me. Fear coursed through my veins. With every step, every breath, I felt the coldness of that presence. And then I saw it. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, a shadow appeared in the corner of the room. In the corner of the room, a shadow barely visible in the dim light. It wasn't moving. It was just standing there. But I could feel its presence. That shadow seemed to freeze my soul. I followed it with my eyes, but it didn't move. It was just there, silent and menacing. A cold and evil presence. My breath caught in my throat. Fear paralyzed me. The candle flickered again. The light dimmed. The shadow disappeared. I blinked. At that moment, everything returned to normal. But the fear inside me was still there. I questioned whether that shadow was real or not. Maybe it was just my imagination. Maybe. But the reality of that moment was etched in my mind. That shadow, maybe it was just a figment of my imagination. But the fear I felt was very real. That moment remained as a memory lost in the darkness. Maybe it was just my imagination, maybe. I tried to pull myself together. I needed to calm down. Everything was all right. It was just an old house and the pranks of the storm. Suddenly I heard a cracking sound. It echoed through the house. Then silence. A deep and unsettling silence. I wasn't alone again. A presence had entered my house, but what was it? And what did it want? The answer never came. Because at that moment, I vanished into the darkness. I was gone too.